Alright, guys, so this is going to be a review of World's Finest, or Superman Batman World's Finest, Return to Kingdom Come. This is the continuing run of the Mark Waid, Dan Mora storyline that's going on. This is another book that was sent to me by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again. And before we go any further, I was not going to do this sooner. I know I just did like a week or so ago, I did a review of Volume 3, Elementary, and I was actually going to hold off for a bit and just not, talk about it for a bit. I was actually going to wait and do some other books. I was actually going to do Danger Street next when I was moving on to another DC book. But the reason why I didn't do Danger Street was not because I don't like the idea. I'm actually really excited. It's just that I know Chris is going to send me Volume 2 at some point, and I think it's better if I just read Volume 1 and Volume 2 close together. So, because it's a big story and I don't want to forget anything. And Tom King can be a very intricate writer. So it's not that I wasn't excited for Danger Street. I am. It's just that, if I miss and if I forget anything from Volume 1 to reading to Volume 2 because I'm a fucking idiot sometimes, that's going to be bad and might hurt my experience. So I'm going to wait until Chris sends me Volume 2 of Danger Street to do, and maybe either I'll review it closer together or as like one big Danger Street is one big story arc. I don't know yet, but I'm just going to wait till Chris sends me Volume 2 of Danger Street before I do that one. And also, the other reason was I was just excited to read World's Finest because we're going back to Kingdom Come, one of the best DC stories ever, one of my favorite comics in general. Although, if you were to ask me what my favorite is, it's All-Star Superman. But Kingdom Come might come in a second place. Anyway, so for those who are new to these books, essentially, this version of World's Finest is supposed to be set in the early days, the quote-unquote early days of Clark and Bruce's, and the early years of the DC universe. We still have Dick Grayson as Robin in this timeline, and it just chronicles like the early adventures of Superman and Batman, and with all this stunning art by Dan Mora. So in Volume 2, we found this new character called Boy Thunder, who came in a rocket ship from another universe. Well, it turns out, and I'm going to spoil it because it has been a while, in Volume 2, Boy Thunder, Superman's lost sidekick, Boy Thunder turned out to be a young Magog from Kingdom Come, and he basically was sent to another universe, the Kingdom Come universe, and now we pick up on that story. So, here we go. So this is set in the Kingdom Come universe, but it's... Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me talk about the story first. The story is that Barry has been going around trying to, on his free time, to help find David, a.k.a. Boy Thunder, a.k.a. Magog, and David, he finally finds David on Earth 22, and he basically informs them and helps them get to Earth 22, Clark and Bruce, to Earth 22, but at first they end up in the future of it, like the end of the Kingdom Come storyline where everyone's fucking dead, and that fucks with Clark a bit. Then they vibrate back into a correct time where it's earlier, like years before the events of it. And there's actually, to showcase, the early years of the DC universe, that the comic we're following is early DC universe. There's a great moment where Clark and Bruce go into Planet Krypton, the Planet Krypton restaurant chain, and they see, man, this universe is much different. They probably have heroes we don't have on our universe. And Bruce is like, well, what makes you say that? I've never heard of a guy named Booster Gold. And I'm like, okay, that was good. So we do find out that here he is as Thunderman before he becomes Magog, and he's serving Gog, a being who you probably, if you read the Justice Society books that I think Jeff Johns and Mark Waid wrote, Gog is basically the being that Magog serves, and he's like this godlike entity who there's a lot to him. He's basically like Darkseid if you had a religious complex. That's the best way to describe him. And from there, the two sides are now on a collision course to fight, for David's, very soul. So what I like about this is that we get Mark Waid returning to the comic that made him put his name as a household name in comic books, which is Kingdom Come. And what I like about this book is that clearly Mark Waid did not forget everything about this, and there are some cool little references to Kingdom Come here and there, and Dan Moore's artwork, as I keep saying, need I fucking say more? The storyline itself of show, and again, I know what you're thinking. Well, Magog, they do talk about his origin a little bit, and yeah, they do talk about it from the Justice Society books pre-52, but it is cool to see Gog again. Like, he's a character we haven't really seen before, a lot of, and to see Magog and give him more of an origin, because he was a character that we never really had an origin, and who better to give Magog an origin than the guy who created him, Mark Waid. Though I do think it is kind of convoluted. I do think it is a little extra to make Magog this guy who is, like, now he's just this angry guy wearing, goat helmets now. It's fucking weird. I also don't like the other thing that does bother me about this book is that Gog has this ability to, like, control the Justice League and make a perfect world, but at the same time, when someone gets too far, like when the Kingdom Come Superman and Batman get a little too far away from him, they're like, oh, now we can suddenly think for ourselves. Couldn't you have done that at any other point, away from Magog? Like, when you get away from Gog, you suddenly start thinking clearer. Also, like, David gave the Earth-22 Superman and Batman, Earth-22 Clark and Bruce, this made-up story, and then one day Earth-22 Bruce just tells Clark, hey, that whole thing of, like, having an accident and, being found by Gog after getting his powers, yeah, that was all bullshit. And you're like, huh? It's like, I feel like this storyline, it really does feel like this storyline was meant to be longer than it should have been. Also, another thing is that Clark and Bruce fight Earth-22, their Earth-22 versions in this fist fight, and they spend very little time trying to convince everyone that they're on their side. I think it's just an excuse to have, also, Clark and Earth-22, like Earth Prime Clark, this is gonna get confusing, is that his whole thing is that, like, oh, I don't like you because you got all these people killed, and it doesn't feel natural. Until, like, even at the end where they explain, like, Bruce is talking to him about, like, why he thinks that, his Clark doesn't like Earth-22 Clark. It's a solid story, but I do feel like Mark Waid meant it to be longer. I just feel like, yeah, this comic was meant to be just a wee bit longer, and also, like, maybe it could have done, like, maybe because I really do feel like this was meant to be a bigger story arc. It could have helped if it had at least, I think it's only, 5 parts. So I think it could have done with at least be a 6-parter. It'd be like a 6-part epic to, like, let the story breathe out. But I also think at the same time we were getting close to Absolute Power, and Mark Waid was doing the main event on that, so I think that might have been a case. But yeah, all in all, I like this a lot more than Volume 3, and I've been really enjoying on a whole. And despite my discrepancies with this volume, I still really liked it. It's I love the references to Kingdom Come, and while I think there are some things that just feel a tad bit bullshit, doesn't stop me from really liking this book and reading this comic on the whole. I think also, like with Ben Percy's Wolverine, I think Chris is just going to send me all the world's finest books as they come out. So, as well as, like, Tom Taylor's Nightwing, which I have the next 3 volumes of as of this recording that are out, so I'll get to them at some point as well. Anyway, so I would say it's a solid. This World's Finest continues to be a solid, fun story. I've been really enjoying it, and thank you once again, Chris, for sending me this and the other books and those books yet to come. But yeah, if you've read World's Finest, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.